show you what happened on the inside, security purposes. No phones, no text messaging, video, none of that. They played no games about that. But everything is taken, except for maybe your phone and a few dollars. Your clothes, everything taken away from you. Get generic clothes. It's like going to jail.
Well, that was Alderman William Hall's Instagram post on his border visit with a Chicago delegation from City Hall.
That's right. And in that, he described that very tight security, the heartbreaking scenes playing out at that border camp in El Paso. And he's here now with us this morning. Alderman Hall, thank you so much for getting up early.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of people have now seen what's unfolding outside Chicago police stations, but I bet it is nothing compared to what you saw. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that struck you the most?
Yeah, what struck me the most is the distress. I saw children with no parents who crossed the border. I saw families crossing the border, men and women. And you just can look in their eyes and see that they're fleeing from various countries, seeking asylum, and they look into Chicago as a better chance and better hope.
Explain to our viewers, because, you know, I hear people talking and they're like, why do we need to go down to the border?
Yeah.
Why was the mayor planning to go to the border when you can just go to any one of these police district stations or migrant shelters right here in Chicago and find out what's going on and get the same story told here in Chicago? Why travel and spend taxpayer money to go there?
Well, number one, you have to get the facts. And in order to get the facts, you have to go on the ground. You have to see, you have to observe. Right there at the border, we have so many different partners. The mayor of El Paso, the mayor of San Antonio, they met with us, their staff met with us, and there's so many non-for-profits at the border that are the first and sometimes the last faces that people see before they leave Chicago. And so what we were able to do is organize, start the conversations with non-for-profits at the border to share with them things that we need here in Chicago. They're well funded. That is an emergency disaster was declared in El Paso. San Antonio, meeting with the mayor, their entire operation is funded by the federal government. So there's not distress on their municipal governments the way we are in Chicago. And so we were able to make new partners. We were able to gather the facts because we have to begin to have a conversation on a federal level. Congressman Jackson has already started an investigation of what's going on in Texas. And so with our facts, we can now further the dialogue at a federal level.
We don't have anywhere near the number of people here, but we have winter. And winter is fast approaching. How are we going to deal with that? And what do you say to all of these residents who say, I don't want to give up my field house for people who don't live here?
Well, the distress that we're seeing here in Chicago is a distress caused by a failed common sense border policy, as my colleague Alderman Robinson coined it. And so if we do not get a federal international border policy ASAP, along with federal funding, the distress will continue, not just in Chicago, but all across America. And so what we need immediately is for Congress to act. Congress is acting a fool right now, but we need a border policy. We need the president to maybe even immediately send an aid package to Chicago. This is failed federal policy that's showing up at the city level.
Yeah, and it's becoming almost a tinderbox in some of the communities, including here in Chicago. Yesterday, we had an alderwoman from the 12th Ward that was, you know, surrounded. We just talked about it on the air. She was surrounded by people in Brighton Park. They don't want the mayor's tent city there. What do you want people to know about what unfolded there and how you're trying to balance it all?
Well, that's why we came back early to wrap our arms around our sister. She's doing a great job, and what you're seeing is the distress and the anger in Chicago, but we have to begin to send that same energy to Washington, D.C. We're dealing with the sins of Congress. We're dealing with the back being turned on us by even the president. He's come to Chicago, but he didn't go to the police stations. He's come to Chicago, but he didn't look into the eyes of those who've crossed that border in distress. And so we need a full, comprehensive aid package right now in Chicago. We need the Department of Education to come and see overcrowded classrooms that are struggling with language barriers. We need Department of Human Health and Services to come. We need every department at that level to come to Chicago, but immediately we need aid from the White House.
Speaking of language barriers, I mean, a lot of people presume that most of the people are coming here speaking Spanish, but you have people coming from China, Syria, Syrians, you have Africans. So talk to us about how are our educators supposed to help these children when they maybe don't speak their language even.
Yeah, so coming from that security checkpoint and base camp, looking at the wall, you did see so many different countries, some in which you mentioned. But again, without the presence of a border policy and with the absence of the presidential administration, if the Department of Education walked through the classrooms of Chicago, now mind you, we were already dealing with the distress in our city. And so with the absence of that type of support, you will see the lack of resources because there's a lack of funding. Again, those cities at the border, El Paso, San Antonio, that's interior city, have all of the wraparound services and funding needed to do their operation. We don't.
Right. Everyone talking about the lack of congressional action. What should that action be? When is it too many people? How do you shut it down?
You know, you have to change the border policy. There is no border policy that's in place, number one. And then number two, with a lack of, again, immediate presidential aid, we're seeing a dilapidation of cities as well as local governments. This is a federal issue that we're dealing with at a local level.
How concerned are you about these single men that are coming over here? We keep hearing about men of military age coming here from other countries. People are concerned, especially because of the terrorism that is going on in the Middle East, that we may have sleeper cells here in our own city, in our own country. How concerned are you about that?
Well, having seen the base camp that's led by Border Patrol, ran by Homeland Security, is a very rigorous process. There's no perfect process. I do think that we have to understand people are crossing the border seeking asylum, right? Venezuela is the leading country in which we are seeing a lot of asylum seekers. And so what we must consider is this, that if we do not have strong border policies, the border is open. So whosoever will come. And so we must continue to put pressure on Congress, put pressure on the president to help Chicago.
All right. Alderman, thank you so much for coming in this morning to talk with us about this issue. And I'm sure we'll be wanting to talk with you more about this because this issue is not over.
That's right.
Not going away anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you.